Okay, we are back talking thoroughbred action on the Playbook Sports Horse Report. The second leg of the Triple Crown coming up on Saturday. It's Friday, and the Black Eyed Susan is already in the books, but we have two races, actually three races that we are going to talk about. One is a free pick that Jon is going to give, race 10 at Pimlico. That's going to be third on the docket. And second up will be race 11 from Pimlico. That is the Maryland Sprint Match Series Stakes race. That's a 6-furlong race. Again, that's race 11. But of course, the Preakness will kick things off. Before we do that, gentlemen, I just wanted to give a shout out to you guys because, first of all, Jon, your free pick of the week came through last week.
Yes, it did.
Which one was that? That was the Gulfstream one?
Yes, 6-8.
The one he singled, yes, right.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Mark. We gave everyone a single in the pick 6.
There you go.
And as usual, Jon's picks, his numbers drop. As soon as everybody pays attention to what Jon says, everybody rushes to the window, brings down the odds, and nobody can make enough money. But it still cast a winner, and that's all that matters.
A winner is a winner. Don't complain when you get.
Trust me, I know that feeling because I haven't. I just want a winner. Mark, meanwhile, you hit the race 7 last week, the Vagrancy, with which horse was it, Jon? That was Mark. That was the 7, right? French Empire.
Yes, it was.
Was it French Empire? Yeah. Right?
No. French Empire
was scratched.
Oh, that was
French
race
Empire
7.
scratched.
You actually had the 3. That was Victim of Love. That was the Joel Rosario horse that actually, the odds dropped a little, but they were still about 3-1. It paid $630.
Yeah, there was only 4 horses left in the race, I think. There were 2 late scratches. The 7 was scratched.
That was your top pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yours too, I think.
What did mine? No, mine came in second, which always happens.
Okay.
But anyway, we had 2 winners last week, and that's not bad. Okay, so let's get started with the Preakness. And first of all, before we get started with the Preakness, we have to talk about Bob Baffert and Medina Spirit. So a couple of days ago, Jon, we had no idea if this horse was even going to run. We had no idea if he was going to be disqualified from the Kentucky Derby. But apparently, not only was he not disqualified, but he's going to run. And of course, it's good that he runs because that's what we want to see. But anyway, what about Bob Baffert, who seemed to tell a couple of different stories during the week? But whatever, he didn't really admit personal blame. The fact is that he got in trouble a little bit, but not a lot.
Well, first of all, the horse was not disqualified yet. They split the sample, and if the next sample comes up positive, which it will, in my opinion, he's going to be disqualified from winning the Derby.
Right, that means my horse wins, and yet I don't make any money off of it.
You don't collect $1 on a 38-1 shot that ran second, or 28-1. My son was filing the same complaint with me. He's joining the class action suit. A total waste of time, I told him.
Oh boy.
Listen, first of all, Baffert's in a real predicament tomorrow because no matter how you slice it, it's a lose-lose situation. If Medina Spirit wins, they're going to say, well, he's juiced again, so that's why he won. If he loses, they're going to say, well, he can't win without drugs. So no matter how you slice it, it's a lose-lose for Baffert with that particular horse tomorrow.
But the thoroughbred industry still wants Medina Spirit to win, though, of course.
I don't know about that. Why do you say
because they want because it would be huge for a Triple Crown possibility.
But there won't be a Triple Crown. He's going to be disqualified from the Derby. Listen to me. Bob Baffert would not be running 2 horses tomorrow if he thought that horse was not going to be disqualified. There's no way that he would enter a horse that could ruin his chance at a Triple Crown. And that's what he's doing by entering Concert Tour. Just my opinion.
Mark?
You know, guys, what I think was interesting was what D. Wayne Lucas had to say after Baffert cleared the first round of testing. When he made a statement, he says he's obviously innocent. Well, they're best of friends, okay?
Exactly. I was going to tell you that. They've best friends for 30 years.
Yes.
You know, having having Lucas testify for his character is a joke, really. And it's like having someone's mother or father come testify. It's silly.
Well,
Why
his
would he-
rationale was simply that they've come so far with testing. It's so sophisticated today as opposed to what it's been in the past, and they haven't caught up to the way all the testing is today. And he's more or less exonerating Baffert because of all this garbage. But to me, a leopard doesn't change its stripes. This guy was suspended for a year when he was a quarter horse trainer 20 years ago for cheating.
Oh, Baffert or Lucas?
Yes.
Yeah,
It was Baffert. He was disqualified as a trainer for a year as a quarter horse trainer. And I read the article in the New York Post in 1997. They banned him for a year for cheating with quarter horses. What changes today, other than the fact that he hasn't been banned? That's the only thing that hasn't changed.
He's going to get a year suspension, is my prediction for this infraction. First of all,
in the sport.
This is the fifth.
In the sport?
Yeah, he's going to be suspended for 1 year, and that's my opinion. Guys have done a lot less and gotten a lot longer. I have a friend named Richard Dutrow who's suspended for 10 years. He just finished his 8th year of suspension, and he did a lot less than this guy did. This is his 5th positive of this year. He's gotten away with it every time. But this time, he did it on the wrong day of the year.
What do
you
you
don't do it on
So why did he get away with it?
Because he went to court and he beat the cases. He had ridiculous excuses. One time, a patch fell off his trainer, and the horse ate the patch. I swear to you, one of those patches for your back when you have pain.
Okay.
Has lidocaine in it. He's got excuses. Even this time, he came up with an excuse. He was rubbing ointment on the horse's hoof because he had a rash. Come on. I mean,
I
that's
thought
his
I read
excuse.
something about how one of the horses urinated on the hay.
Yeah, no. He said the groom who was taking cough medicine with codeine in it pissed on the hay, and the horse ate the hay. Please, how many times are you going to use the excuse the dog ate my homework? You can get
It's a manufacturing school of lies, is all it is.
It's
Just a
just enough
manufacturing
already.
school of lies.
Now,
He's
he
a great
gets away
trainer.
with this, though, because of who he is, right?
Exactly. Hey, there are certain people in this world, and we live in a corrupt world, and, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Listen, I'm a fan of his, and I think he's a nice guy. I know him personally. However, what he's doing is wrong. People are disgusted by it. Other trainers are disgusted by it,
I mean, is there anything that should be done regarding the drugs themselves? Is this something that, he broke the law, no question, but maybe the laws are too tough?
Now, here it is. This is what's going to say. This is his saving grace. What his saving grace is, the drug that this horse got is not an illegal drug.
Okay.
But it has to be administered like a certain amount of time before the race. Like you could give it to him 2 weeks before. Like Gamin got suspended. Gamin came up positive for the exact same thing that this horse did. But Gamin, he said he gave it to 17 days out, and it was still in his system when it's supposed to leave the system with 14 days out. You understand? So that's the excuse. So what he gave him isn't illegal. It's just illegal on race day. So you have to give it to him prior to a certain amount of time where it's out of their system.
So
listen, these guys, it's like going 55. You can go 55 on the highway, but people go 60. They go 54. They go up to the limit, and that's the way it goes.
So you think, that's what I was trying to say then, do you think that even though he's wrong for doing it, that the laws need to be changed?
No, the laws don't need to be changed because guess what? The other 19 horses in the race all abided by the rules, and no one else came up positive than him.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, you think the laws are okay the way that they're written?
I mean, listen, the laws are the laws. They make the laws. You know what they are before, so you either follow them or you try to beat them. He tried to beat him.
Okay.
And his biggest problem is not this penalty. The problem is the history leading up to this penalty. This is his fifth, I said, his 5th positive of the year. Come on.
Sooner or later, you got to teach somebody a lesson.
Enough.
Yeah.
It's enough already. That's all.
And you can't, in a way, you can't blame him because if he's not going to get punished,
Hey, listen to me. My son used to have a pitching coach named Tim Leary who used to pitch for the Mets. And he told him, you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah.
That's what he told him. So,
Yeah.
that, and he was a kid in Little League, and he's teaching him that. So.
Well, they do it in NASCAR all the time. The difference is that that's a car. This is an animal. This is something that you're supposed to take care of. So is it in any way harming the animal?
It's not harming the animal. What it's harming is the sport. It's harming the game. They all the animal right lunatic people from PETA and everywhere else are trying to destroy horse racing and put it out of business. They got away with the circus. They did away with them. They got away with dog racing in Florida. They went after them. They got, but the horse racing industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
That ain't stopping.
Not quite as easy for them but they're doing everything in their power to do it. I mean, here, they changed the LASIK laws. They changed the whip rules. They're getting crazier by the day.
All right.
But everyone's here to get some winners and not talk politics.
It's a big week.
And we didn't even talk about the horses at Santa Anita last year that were dying.
Yeah, well,
that's right.
He had 7 horses that died also in 1 year, in a short period of time. So everyone wanted to know, how could a guy have 7 horses die and nobody says anything? So it was either he was testing something. Nobody knows the answer why they died. He's blaming something in the feed or the straw or something. But one trainer to lose 7 horses, have heart attacks and drop dead on the training track.
How many horses died last year at Santa Anita?
30-something, and it was because of the weather. They had an unbelievable amount of rain in a short period of time, and it messed up the track, and they should have closed, but instead they tried to race over it, and that was, in my opinion, the reason for the breakdown.
Well, statistically speaking, though, he just had an enormous amount. His number, what did he have? You said 7 out of the 30 horses that died?
No. That wasn't even counting those 30. That was a few years ago. He had 7.
Okay, that was different.
Yeah, not even counting one.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens again. Because if this horse wins and he's right there 9-5, we knew he would be one of the favorites. This is what happens when it's Baffert and you win the Kentucky Derby. But you look at this race and you have the 3 notable horses: the 3 Medina Spirit, the 5 Midnight Bourbon, who was second in the Louisiana Derby. And then you have the 10 Concertor, who you mentioned, the other Baffert horse with Mike Smith on board, who's 5-2. So these are like the 3 horses that were really being talked about prior to the Triple Crown, prior to the Kentucky Derby, when you compare them to the other horses in this race. Mark, you decided to just go with Medina Spirit. And matter of fact, you just decided that those were the 3 horses that you were going to go with. You're not even going to play around in the Preakness. You're going to go chalk.
Well, I don't have Medina Spirit on top. No.
Midnight
I'm
Bourbon.
Going with Midnight Bourbon.
Top.
Midnight Bourbon is my choice, right? And I'll play Medina Spirit and Concertor underneath him, but I think Midnight Bourbon has a lot working for it. But we'll let John go through the races before I get to my reasons why. What I want to ask John before we get into the race is this. None of these horses have ever raced at Pimlico. Only 3 of them have ever traveled this distance. And only 3 horses in this race have anything greater than a grade 3 stakes race under their belt. That's Medina Spirit, Concertor, and Keep Me in Mind. Do any of these things factor into your numbers, John?
They all factor into the numbers, but everybody is really in the same situation. I mean, the 3 horses that you mentioned, they're all fine, and they're probably going to be the 3 choices. I'll be honest with you, this is the worst crop of 3-year-olds that I've seen in a long time. The Derby field was awful, and this field is really awful. I mean, these aren't really good horses. These certainly aren't champion 3-year-olds. The best 3-year-olds they have now are on the sideline, and they're in Baffert's barn. They're all hurt. But that being said, this is the field. It's like when the Dodgers won the World Series in '88. That was like the worst team in the world to win the World Series. They had like a team batting average of 200, but they won the World Series. So that's what this is. Bad group of horses, but we're going to find some value here, and I actually like a horse a lot. So.
Yeah, and that's the good thing, because that's what we want, because we want there to be an opportunity for us to make some money.
Right, I don't want a horse that's 1-9 here. Yeah, we don't need that.
So as we take a look here, I know that because actually, John, you like the 4 Crowded Trade, the 10-1 shot. And I know you also like the horse that I like a little bit, the 9 Risk Taking, who's a 15-1 shot. Let's start though with your top pick, Crowded Trade, at 10-1. You got Brown and Castellano, only 3 races.
Well, why don't we go through all of them? Isn't that easier?
Well,
yeah,
sure.
However you want.
If you want to,
and when we get to the horse, you could jump over certain horses. Like, Ram ran a 12 last time out, which was a 5-point new top. This is Mr. Lucas, and he's coming off of Lasix. He's got 0.
I didn't even know Lucas was still alive.
Well, he's alive. He's running the 1 horse.
He's in Bob Baffert's corner. I know that.
Yeah, they love each other.
So he's got the back-to-back wins. He went from 24, 17, 12 in his last 3 races, but he just broke his maiden in April.
Yeah,
after 8 tries.
Yeah,
30-1 is an underlay.
The 15-1 shot, the 2. Keep in mind, we talked about this horse in the Bluegrass. He finished 5th. And did pretty much same thing in the Kentucky Derby. This horse ran an 8 last year.
He at least has an 8 as a 2-year-old. Not many horses in this race could say that, so that's very strong. But what I don't like about him is that off the 12, his first race back this year, he bounced to the 14. So now he ran a 10 last time out, and he has even less time. He's only back on 2 weeks. I would play this horse to react. I don't like him.
All right, and then, of course, Medina Spirit. There's just no reason in the world to take this horse.
Well,
he's going to be too short of a price.
Yeah, he's going to be short, and he's coming off of a lifetime top with only 2 weeks rest between races. If you look at his races throughout his career, he's always had at least a month. And when he ran the 7 first out this year, he reacted to the 12. So now he's coming back off of a 6 with no time off. And no drugs in him. Isn't he supposed to go backwards?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you could say what you want before about how it looks, but let's be real.
Yeah.
He is coming off drugs. So why would we? That's why I'm saying he was what, a 12-1 shot down there to win the Derby. He wins that race. Now he's off the favorite, off the drugs, and like you said, after 2 weeks, and we're supposed to put money on this horse. Come on.
As a favorite, not for me. Thank you.
Well, one thing that he's done, guys, or I should say Bob Baffert has done, he had won 6 straight Preaknesses in a row with Kentucky Derby winners until last year. When Sky, what was the filly's name? Sky
Diver.
But that doesn't count. That doesn't count because the Preakness was run before the Derby last year.
That's exactly. So that was an asterisk.
So
exactly
just
right.
Forget last year doesn't even count. Just throw that year out.
Yeah, the whole sports industry is one big asterisk the last 2 years. But Medina Spirit, bottom line is we know that the talent's there, the trainer's there. It's just that all the odds are really against him.
There's no value in playing this one.
There just isn't. If you took him to win the Derby, then stay with him.
Yeah, he could win. I mean, if you cashed on him in the Derby, he owes you no money. And if you want to stick with him, stick with him. But it's not my kind of horse at a short price.
All right, your top horse, though, is going to be Crowded Trade. And again, the 4th race of Crowded Trade's career. And, actually, it's interesting because this is pretty similar to kind of the way I was thinking with the 9. But I like the strategy because you go from the 8 at the Gotham, barely lost that race, bounced back up to a 13 in the Wood. But you see a forward move here.
He's absolutely moving forward. Not only that, the day that he ran at the Wood, those 2 side dots means the track was extremely deep and heavy. So Pimlico is not like that. So I'm considering that as sort of like a conditioning workout for the horse. The 8 also that he ran 2 starts back was also run on that heavy, deep track. Pimlico is not like that. So it's like running on the beach on the sand and then going by the water where where you're going to go much faster on the dirt than you are in the sand.
John, what are the horse's numbers, Crowded Trade?
He has a 13 last time out. He ran an 8 2 starts back. He's going to run the 8 or better. You have to come up in your mind what you think it's going to take to win this race. And I don't think this race is going better than an 8, in my opinion. And I think Crowded Trader has enough time from that race 2 starts back to run a new top tomorrow. And if you get anywhere near 10-1, that's really the whole key here is the price. If he's 3-1, I don't need him. But if he's 5, 6, 7, 8-1, I like him.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be 3-1. So,
okay.
And he was 3-1 at the Wood. Now you're getting 10-1.
Yeah. Okay. That's only the morning line. Let's see what the odds are.
With those other 3 horses, they're clearly going to be the top 3 plays. So I don't know. What the one thing I like about these big races is that when you find out what the odds are, like at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, you know that those are going to be the odds 5 hours later. That's what I love about these big races. The odds just don't change.
No, there's so much money bet.
Yeah.
It takes that guy last week, Mattress Mac, bet a couple of million on that horse and only moved him a point or 2. So,
all right.
I actually have the odds up somewhere here. I'm going to get them for you in a minute. Keep talking. Sorry.
Of what? The odds of?
This afternoon on tomorrow's they were up earlier.
Oh, okay. The 5 is Mark's top choice, Midnight Bourbon. And again, this is going to be one of the 3 favorites, I think, at 5-1, which he is right now on the morning line. Really good combination of Asmussen and Ortiz. Ortiz takes over for the first time since running 3rd in the Champagne. So this is only his 2nd ride on Midnight Bourbon. Didn't race him in the last 2 races, including the Kentucky Derby. You look at the sheets, his first 3 career races, he went up. I mean, he went exactly the way you want to see him, 26, 14, 13. Then he drops to 17. But after that, everything goes up again, 11, 10, 9. Duplicated the 9, but I don't see any reason why, we can't see an 8 or a 7 here, Mark.
Well, I like the pattern, and I like patterns, and there's a strong pattern for this horse in this race in that horses that go into the Preakness that had done nothing but cashed and won in the money. He was 7 for 7 in the money until the Kentucky Derby. He got bumped out of the gate. He had a really, really rough trip. I think he goes back to his 7 out of 7 in the money here, that pattern going to the Preakness to do just that. He ran 4 wide, and you've got this horse who's now running 6 graded stakes races in a row after his maiden win. He's the only horse in this race to win at this distance. And you've got Steve Asmussen and Orad Ortiz. I mean, that's a really, really strong combination here. I read what Asmussen said about this horse. He absolutely loves this horse. He's physically imposing. He's 16 hands tall. He was the most expensive horse in the field. He cost $525,000. I think it's for all the right reasons here. And like John, I do not want to bet chalk in any big race. I'm going to go to Midnight Bourbon in this race for my selection.
Okay. Well, everything you said is right. The horse has a beautiful line on the sheets. He's never really done anything wrong. If you go back to last year, he ran a 14 and a 13. Well, then he ran a 17. But this year he comes out, and each race is a little better than the previous one. An 11, a 10, a 9. His last race was a 9 1/4, though. Those 2 dots on the other side means it's a 9 1/4. The only problem I have with this horse is all his races this year, he had time between races. Between the 11 and 10, he had 3 weeks. From the 10 to the 9, he had a month. And from the 9 to his last 9, he had 6 weeks. Now he's doing something he's never done before. He's coming back on just a 2-week rest. The question is, did the last 9 take something out of him or not? But here's the biggest problem I have. He's 5-2. He's the favorite as we speak.
Is he really?
5-2.
5 minutes ago, Mark said, I'm not betting a favorite in here.
Well, he was 5-1 on the on our morning line.
Well,
Yeah,
hey,
well, but-
everybody likes that sheet line.
You don't freeze the morning line, but he's 5-2. By the way, Medina Spirit is 7-2, and the horse that I like that Greg guaranteed would be 8-10-1 is only 6-1. So you have this point, Mark.
Well, let's hope I don't have the favorite when it goes off, but he wins anyway.
What's Concert Tour?
4-1.
Yeah. So again, those 3 horses are still the favorites, the top 3.
Yeah.
So the 4, that is the 4th choice.
Right.
Okay. All right. The 6 is Rom Bauer, a Flavian Pratt horse, a 12-1 shot, third in the Bluegrass. Nothing but 12s in his last 3 races.
Well, he's got a shot to run a new top, but even if he runs a 10, it's not going to be good enough. I don't like him.
Now, France.
It's a 6 different rider in 6 races for this horse, too. Nobody seems to stay in this horse too long.
Yeah.
The 7, France Godalina. This horse is a 20-1 shot. Now, you go to the UAE Derby. Doesn't do anything there. The thing I find interesting about that, though, is that somebody felt pretty good about this horse because Joel Rosario went all the way over there to ride him.
Yeah, well, I don't think he went to ride this horse. He was riding other horses there that day and got on this horse.
Yeah, I guess I would have to wonder. Well,
yeah,
it is the UAE Derby, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they had other big races on that day. They gave out like 20 million in purses or whatever it was. Okay. This is a Japanese horse. The Japanese horses have never won the Derby or any Triple Crown race. Well, you would know better. You're the stats guy. But I don't think a Japanese horse has ever won, and this is one of those Japanese horses. And he'd have to make a big forward move. He ran a 14 in the EAU Derby, and that's not even close to other horses here.
All right.
So the question, guys, is why did Joel Rosario jump off a concert tour to ride this horse, or was that a Baffert move off a concert tour?
He didn't jump off of concert tour to ride this horse, that's for sure. What happened was he opted for that horse last week. You remember that horse that got eliminated at the start? What was his name? The Sadler horse, the 15.
In the Kentucky Derby?
Rock Your World.
Yeah,
Rock Your World.
Rock Your World. He got off of this horse to ride. He got off of concert tour to ride Rock Your World, and then they found out concert tour wasn't going after the fact. So he jumped off way before he had a choice.
I got you.
And Mike Smith takes over. All right.
Yeah.
So next up is Unbridled Honor, a 15-1 shot, a Pletcher-Saez combo. It's a good one. Second in the Lexington. The sheet line is pretty good. The only problem is his all-time best 10 happened on a sloppy track.
And it was also his last race. It was a 6-point new top, bounce written all over it.
The 9, this is my top pick. This is Jose Ortiz and Chad Brown, a 15-1 shot. Like I said, kind of similar to Crowded Trade in the history, meaning he finished actually winning the Withers, but then finishing a disappointing 7th in the Wood. Again, the same racetrack that Crowded Trade did not win. And then 15 wasn't good. But before that, 19, 13, 11. So he was heading in a good way until the Wood Memorial. He was a favorite in the Wood. So I'm kind of looking at this. It almost paid off for me in the Kentucky Derby. So I'm going to go with the same strategy that
you throw out the bad race, right?
Yeah.
You're excusing a bad race going in, which is a good way to gamble because a lot of times handicappers or even the public looks at what a horse did in his last race. And that's the worst way you could handicap, whether it be good or bad, because to be a success in this game, you have to be a forgiving player. And, you know, not every horse shows up every day on his best. So, and he has an excuse, by the way, for the 15. It was one of those sideward double dot races where the track was extremely heavy. And, you know.
Was that the Wood? Was that the Wood? When
yes.
He lost as a favorite. I think one thing working in Greg's favor here is he scratched out of the Peter Pan at Belmont to run here. So Chad Brown must like his chances.
Yeah, he definitely likes his chances, but he also trains the 4 Crowded Trade.
Right.
So, you know, whatever.
What are his odds right now?
He's 18-1.
Oh, okay. Going the opposite direction, just like Mandaloon. All right, and then the 10 is Contra Tour. This is a 4-1 shot now. This is the one, Mike Smith and Baffert. So does Contra Tour take the Preakness now?
Well, I don't like his sheet line. I don't like the 7 is fine, but then time off a 9, then time off an 11. Isn't he going in the wrong direction?
He certainly is.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. You know, but he does have time, and it's Baffert, and of course Baffert could do anything. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's Baffert, and still, even when you look at it, if you don't look at it in the direction, you are seeing 8, 7, 9, which is okay compared to these other horses. But he's 4-1. He's a short price. Still, it wouldn't be a surprise, and it probably would happen that even if Medina Spirit winds up a big disappointment, that Baffert will still end up in victory lane.
Not so fast. This horse is 4. This horse is 4-1. He's really not bet. It's Baffert and everything else. He should be a lot shorter than that.
Yeah.
If you're reading the
Why
board.
do you think that is?
I don't know. It could be the anti-Baffert money.
I really thought he was going to be the favorite in this race, honestly.
So did I. Did I.
You know, he's in the 10 hole here, guys. And the only reason I'm going to mention it is the last time a horse in the Preakness won from the 10 hole was in '98. That was real quiet. Just happened to be a Bob Baffert horse.
Yeah, it was a Baffert horse.
All right, so there you go again. John's going with the 4, Crowded Trade. Mark is going to go with the 5, Midnight Bourbon. I'll take the 9, Risk Taking. Let's shoot on over to the race that will be at, let's see, this is going to go off at about 4:40, race 11 at Pimlico. This is a 6 furlong race. And we'll start with the 1, Lackey. This is going to be my top pick. Lackey is, the thing that caught my eye pretty simply is the fact that in his last 2 races at Pimlico, both at 6 furlongs, not only did he win, but he ran a 6 and he ran an 8. The 8 he just ran, which was the last race, which is his best race of the year. 6-1. Those odds are nice. He ran a 3 back in 2019. He's 20 of 25 in the money on a dirt fast track. The inside position, but still, I hope I get 6-1, and I'll be happy with it.
Yeah, you probably get 6-1. The only knock, there's nothing wrong with the horse. The only knock is he is coming off of Lasix. So the 13 he ran 2 starts back, guess what? Was without Lasix, and it was off of a 9. You know, these older horses that come off Lasix, it's not the same thing as when you're a young horse and you come off Lasix. That's my problem I have, and that's the problem with handicapping. When you're handicapping these races with horses coming off of Lasix, especially older horses, I think it has an effect. So for that reason, I passed on him, but he's not impossible. I would use him with whoever I decide to keep.
Do you have your own statistics for your winners, and who like, do you keep your own stats where you go, okay, hey, I want to know when Jon does his best handicapping?
When I do my best handicapping?
Like, in other words, I think that Jon does his best handicapping in non-stakes races, or Jon does his best handicapping on Thursdays. You know what I'm saying?
Jon does his best handicapping on turf races, usually, and cheaper races. I don't like big stake races for the simple reason. When you're dealing with young, lightly raced horses, no one knows how good they really are till that day. They don't have enough experience. When I take a race where a horse ran 20, 30 times, well, now I have a real history on the horse, and I can tell you what he's going to run today. I may get the number right and still lose the race because someone else may not run or run better. But if I have an opinion on a horse that I think is going to run in those kind of races, my percentage is higher than any other races.
The turf thing, is that just chance, or is there a reason for that?
Well, turf racing, a lot of turf racing has to do with trips. And you have to handicap where the horse is going to be in the race and everything else that goes with it. And turf racing to the general public, I think, is harder to handicap. That's where the numbers come in, and I have a big edge, I think.
All right, the 2 is Yodel E-A-Hoo. And this is an 8-1 shot. He's got a couple of 8s and a couple of 7s over the last couple of years, including a 7 his last time out at Belmont. Mark, this is one of the horses that you were targeting.
Yeah, I was looking at him. He wintered in Gulfstream down here, and he's been pretty decent at the distance. 8 races, he's been in the money 5 times with 3 wins. And I think he can be the speed or close to the speed in the race. This horse, I know the guy who owned the horse who lost him in a claim, and he's gone on done much better things when Saffie Joseph had him as a trainer here. And he likes his chances real good in this race here as well, but he is stepping up in class. I still think with a little bit of pedigree here, for the price, 8-1, I don't know what he is right now, but what he'll go off at, but I think for the price, I think he has to be on the ticket somewhere.
The only thing I was noticing, John, is that he's been up and down over his last 5 races. This would just mean if he sticks with that, he might have a bad week, but coincidence?
You want the pluses or the minuses? The pluses are the trainer's very good. Brittany Russell, she's a terrific trainer, and her husband is actually the jockey. So it's all in the family. Sheldon Russell rides, Brittany Russell trains. The bad news is the 7 that he ran last time out, guess what? Back on Lasix. The 14, the bad race, 2 starts back without Lasix. Tomorrow, no Lasix, off of a big race without any time. You know, I like the combination. I like the price. I like Mark's opinion, but I have to disagree with him here only because of the fact that he's coming off of Lasix and he's a 5-year-old who's coming back without any rest.
John, the owner and the trainer have really improved the horse since he was owned down here in Gulfstream. Do you think that improvement came with the Lasix, and not being on Lasix is going to be the big factor here?
Well, the bad race that he ran 2 starts back is his only bad race that he's had out of his last 5 races. And unfortunately, that was the race without Lasix. So all we could really do is base it on that, you know. But listen, they made a good claim for 62.5. And the guy that they claimed him from, your friend, should be very happy because he only paid $40,000 for the horse when Saffie Joseph took him. And they won a lot of races. Well, he won 1, 2, 3, 4 races for Saffie Joseph. So this is a horse that made everybody happy.
Yes, he did.
But when Sheldon decides to jump on board the horse, does that mean anything?
He's riding for his wife. He has to ride for his wife if she's trained.
No, I mean, I don't see that, but he hasn't ridden the horse before.
Well, the horse was at Belmont and in Gulfstream. This guy's they're based in Laurel,
okay,
in Maryland. So
yeah, I think they've only had the horse for the last 3 or 4 races. This new
they
champ.
claimed the horse 4 starts back. They had 3 starts for the horse. They have a win, first time out off the claim. Then the no Lasix, and last time out ran a winning number but didn't win. So he should have won with that number, that's for sure.
All right, let's go to 3. Mucho with 15-1 shot. You got the best in the business, or one of the best, Jose Ortiz on board. Is John Ortiz a relative?
No.
Okay. He ran a best 7, career best, 3 races ago. Since then, a 15 and an 11.
Yeah, and the 11 was without Lasix, and he doesn't have Lasix today, and I think you're going to need a single digit to win this race. There are fast horses in here.
The 4 is Frosted Grace, and upgrade with Castellano on board. Ran an 8 last year, a 10 and a 12 to start 2021.
He's similar to other horses in the race, a little slower.
By the way, 11 out of 11 in the money at this distance. So that's pretty impressive. Okay. But you also notice that the odds indicate that he's been in a completely different field of horses. All right. The 5 is Strike Power. And, John, this is your top pick. A 7-2 shot. The combination of Asmussen and Santana coming off started the year with a 13, then all the way down to a 5, bounced a little bit to an 8. You see a forward move here once again.
Yeah, I like betting horses that ran well 2 starts back and bounced last time out. My main concern is that this is a 6-year-old who's coming off of Lasix, so I don't know how he's going to react to it. But I have noticed that when you deal with super trainers, such as Asmussen or Baffert, you know, guys that skate the line, let's put it that way. They go up to 55 without going over. They either have a substitute for Lasix or they treat them with something that's similar to Lasix, you know. So I'm hoping it doesn't make a difference. But I like the sheet line. I like the 5. I like the 8. You know, he figured to bounce off of the 5, and he's got plenty of time from that race. Those races were at Oaklawn. That's a different kind of surface, again, than they have at Laurel. And I'm expecting a forward move.
How did you analyze the 5 back in 2019?
It means nothing to me because something happened at the end of 2019, which resulted in a year layoff. He either broke a bone, something happened, and then he came back, and he actually came back as a pretty good horse, as good as he was before he left. And that usually doesn't happen with older horses. They usually get worse. But when he came back with a 9, which was very good. That was the first start for Asmussen. The 13 was on a wet track. It doesn't mean anything. You could throw that race out. So I'm looking at the 5, the 8, and the 9. 3 of those races, any one of those races will put him in the thick of things here. And if he runs the 5, it'll be good enough to beat him.
Okay, let's go with the 6. 3s over deuces. Ran a couple of 5s back in 2019, but since then, a couple of 8s and only a 13 in April.
Yeah, I don't like this horse. Another one coming off of Lasix. He's got 1 single digit in the last year and a half. I guess he ran another 8 earlier last year, but he's obviously not as good as he used to be. He used to run 5s and 9s consistently. I don't like the 13 off the layoff.
The 7 is Mark's top pick, Breezy Gust, a Rosario horse here. Taking a look how consistent he's been over the last 4 races, 9, 6, 6, 8. That's pretty good in this field of horses, Mark.
Yeah, he just had a 3-race win streak snapped. He ran 3rd, a length and a half back. And if you look at his last 2 races at this distance, he ran a 1st and he ran a 2nd with Rosario up here and at the price. Now I'm buying the 6-1 morning line. I don't know if we're going to see that. John, if you think this horse will get bet down or not, but I got to put him on top on my look in this price.
Nothing wrong with this horse. I'll tell you something. Danny Velasquez claimed the horse, and he claimed him at the end of last year in October, and something happened because he took off October.
Woo.
Well, he took off October, November, and December, and he came back and made his first start for this guy. And all 4 races since joining the new barn, and this guy's a magic man. He does some stuff, whatever it is. And you could see it.
Incredible.
You could see how he improved 10 points from last year. The only problem I have with him is that all those races were at Parks, different racetrack. Now he's running at Pimlico. But the bad races he ran last year were at Parks also. So there's no question that this is a different horse under this guy's training. The only thing is he's coming off of Lasix, so let's see how he reacts to it. But he's fine. You get 6-1, you're getting Rosario. I like the 5 the best. I was using the 1, 7, and 11 with him, and this was one of the horses, the 7. So
yeah, I think if you look at the sheets, the 7 and the 11, which we'll get to in a little while, those 2 horses have the most consistent, solid sheet numbers, like in a row, or at least coming into this race. So that's look. I hope you get 6-1. That's the only thing, and that's why you mentioned Mark. You don't want him to go down to 3-1, but 6-1 is a really good number.
6-1, you got to use him. 3-1, you can take a shot that he doesn't run so well.
All right, the 8 is a 9-2 shot. You got Irad Ortiz, upgrade, so that's going to be important there. The only thing is, after running a 7, which was his best race, he's gone to a 9 and then to an 11.
7 was also run on a wet track, so just keep that in mind. And the good thing about him is that he's been off of Lasix. His last race was without Lasix. He didn't do too badly. He only ran 2 points off. So let's see how it is now with more time off since not having Lasix.
The 9, not worth talking about.
Looks a little slow.
The 10 is a 12-1 shot. Mark, you had your eye on this horse as well. He's got 3 8s in his last 4 races, Mark.
Yeah, he ran a big race here last month. I don't know, John, what number you have on him, but I saw big races last month. He lost by half a length to Lockheed. He's had great bullet works here. 2 of his last 3 and 4 of his last 9 have been top bullet works. At the price, we're buying a price here, 12-1. What did you show for this horse, John, 2 races back?
2 races back was without Lasix, and that was the worst race. Unfortunately, tomorrow he's off of Lasix as well. That being said, his 3 out of his last 4 races were 8s. If he runs an 8 tomorrow, he's going to be in it. I guess if he's a price, you certainly could use it. This is another magician, this trainer. He does magic tricks, but He's fine. But again, the only concern I have is that the only bad race out of the last 4 were without Lasix. And unfortunately, that's the situation tomorrow.
All right. And then the 11, this is Seven Nation Army. John, this is a horse that you had your eye on as well. A 5-1 shot. Saez on board. This was the other horse I mentioned. Matter of fact, compared to the 7, this horse has an even better, longer, consistent, solid sheet run. The best of any horse in this field. You got to go all the way back 7 straight races of sheets of 8 or better, including a 6.
Well, here's going to be the big test, because this is an older horse. He's a 6-year-old, and he's coming off of Lasix for the first time.
Ooh.
So now we're going to see what happens. This is going to be the test for you. If he doesn't run well, then Lasix certainly matters. But if you look at this horse's sheet, his last 7 races, he's never run worse than an 8.
That's right.
So, we're going to see how much Lasix counts.
That's right.
Because if this horse was on Lasix and things were normal, aren't you supposed to run to the window to bet this horse at 5-1? I mean, there's not even a question.
Yeah, this is definitely in your exactas, without question, at the very least.
Yeah. Right. The only question is, put a big question about Lasix. Yep. And that's what screws this thing up, and that's what's messing with the game.
All right, John, your free pick is also going to come from Pimlico.
Yeah, we're going to go in the 10th race. So, you guys may want to play late pick 4s or pick 5s, because we're giving out the 10th, 11th, and 13th race. The 10th race is a sprint race on the grass, 5 furlongs. And I like the number 1 horse in here, Boulder. This is a Steve Asmussen barn. Steve Asmussen barn, I should say. Ricardo Santana's aboard to ride. He's listed at 6-1 on the morning line. I think this horse is sitting on a big effort. He sprinted on the grass last time out, and he ran very well. If he repeats that race, he's going to be very tough. He has the advantage of breaking from the inside. He doesn't have much speed, and I hope he doesn't get shuffled too far back. But I think number 1, Boulder, anywhere near 6-1 is a heck of a play.
And that's where he is right now.
That's where he is.
Okay. He'll be 3-1.
That's a full field of 12. I'm on 2 radio shows tomorrow, so you got a shot. I'm not giving them out on either one of them. I saved them for your show only.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm circling them then. All right. All right, boys, thank you very much. And then taking a look just quickly, next week, it's not like a huge week as far as the schedule is concerned, which is not a surprise. You do have 2 graded stakes races at Santa Anita and 1 at Churchill. But then after that, we have
There's nothing at Belmont next week? No races?
Stakes races, not that I see.
Okay.
But then you got the Memorial Day 3-day weekend after that. So we'll talk about that next week. That's going to be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. There's going to be a lot of really good stakes races across America. So we'll have a lot to talk about just before Memorial Day weekend.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your Preakness Day. Make lots of money.
And I'm going to bet my horse to finish in second.
There you go.
You better start doing that, Greg.
Let me tell you what happens in that case. They run third when you bet them for second. Get used to it.
All right, guys. Be good. Thanks.